All right, weirdos, strap in, because tonight we're diving into 5 mythical creatures brought to you from around the globe. Some are terrifying, some tragic, and one of them just straight up looks like a horse that's been microwaved. First up, we're heading to Scotland, home of kilts, whiskey, haggis, and the knucklebee. Basically, imagine a skinless horse demon with a human torso fused to its back, sharing the same body. It's like 2 nightmares got together on Tinder and then was melted by the sun to form one grotesque being. This creature originates from the Orcadian folklore, described as skinless, veins popping out, reeking of death. Breath so toxic it kills crops and sickens livestock. Can only be stopped by fresh water. So just to recap. Half man, half horse, full-time skincare disaster. And its one weakness is water, which basically means Scotland is protected full-time because it constantly bloody rains there. Thanks, Mother Nature. I saw it once, near the cliffs. It stared into my soul, and it sneezed and my crops died. Angus, probably. I don't know what's worse, the demon horse or the fact that Angus probably names his turnips. That was okay. That wasn't a bad joke. In Orkney Folklore Sea Myths by Denison, it states, some thought that rider and horse were really one, and that this was the shape of the monster. Knucklebee's head was like a man's, only 10 times larger, and his mouth projected like that of a pig and was enormously wide. There was not a hair on the monster's body, for the very good reason that he had no skin. The whole surface of the monster appeared like raw and living flesh, from which the skin had been stripped. You could see the black blood flowing through his veins and every movement of his muscles. When this horrid creature moved, showed white sinews in motion. He continues, the lower part of this terrible monster, as seen by Tammy, was like a great horse with flappers like fins about his legs, with a mouth as wide as whales, from which came breath like steam from a brewing kettle. He had but one eye, and that as red as fire. On him sat, or rather seemed to grow from his back, a huge man with no legs and arms that reached nearly to the ground. His head was as big as a clue of Simmons, and his huge head kept rolling from one shoulder to the other as if it meant to tumble off. I can't... That is absolutely, positively terrifying! Next stop, Ireland, where the Guinness flows, the leprechauns dance, the rain never stops, and you might hear a scream at night that means, congratulations, you're about to die. The banshee, a female spirit from the Irish folklore, appears as either an old hag or a beautiful young woman. Wails or screams when someone's about to die. Not evil. More like a morbid customer service rep. I mean, imagine being cursed to just scream for eternity when someone carks it. That's not a demon. That's customer service for your internet service provider. I mean, how many times does someone die? Apparently, what does Bono say from YouTube? He's like, Every time you click, someone else dies in the world. Stop clicking. Stop killing people! Stop! I heard a scream outside my window once. Next day, my goldfish was floating belly up. Okay, Kevin, that's not a banshee. That's you being a neglectful parent to your beautiful fish pet. Patrick Farrell says, it was a beautiful moonlight night in December. Business having detained me until a late hour, and not feeling weary, I determined to have a short stroll this night, being gloriously fine. On my return, I was astonished to find my greyhound trembling violently. The cold sweat actually dripping off him. For some time, I sought in vain for a solution of the strange occurrence. After some time, I heard coming from a bush in the middle of a small paddock at the back of my house a long, low wail, and after some time, the most piteous sobbing I have ever heard. Being then a disbeliever in banshees, ghosts, goblins, fairies, leprechauns, and company, I was glad of an opportunity to test once for all their genuineness. This man was a ghost hunter. He sought after the ghosts. His first and probably only opportunity to actually investigate. That's more than some people do now. Farrell had trouble stirring the terrified dog. He set out alone with his stick to investigate. Among the shrubs, he saw a deer, milk white and sobbing in the most heart-rending manner. Farrell watched for 5 minutes, and then he took a swing at the animal. This beautiful, what a beautiful white deer. The stick passed through space, but I heard such a scream as I hope and pray shall never fall on my ears again. Farrell fled the scene, to later discover that his cousin in Australia died the same night. R.I.P. Yes. Puerto Rico. The chupacabra. Yes. The chupacabra. Spanish for goat sucker. Already off to a terrible start. First reported in Puerto Rico, mid-1990s. Said to drain blood from livestock, mainly goats. But still partial to a few chickens now and then. Described as reptilian, alien-like, sometimes like a mangy dog. Possibly linked to secret government experiments. Now here's the thing. Nobody can actually agree what the chupacabra looks like. Half the witnesses describe an alien, the other half describe my neighbor's ugly chihuahua. Either way, goats aren't having a good time. I will not be doing a Spanish accent. I saw it leap over my fence. It stared at me with glowing red eyes, and then it burped. The chupacabra only recently joined the vampire in the bestiary of blood-sucking creatures. Now there's a development. I didn't know there was a bestiary of blood-sucking creatures, and that the vampire was in it as well. That's something I'm going to have to look up, read, and then share with you in another terrifying video. Omar came out as my car approached and asked about the purpose of my visit. I told him. As I did, he shouted, "Colette! And come over here! If they heard you, we're in trouble." Who? Shh, they're around. Acho. Come on, tell me what's going on. These things are everywhere, mano. You mean it's not just the one? Vamos! How do you think they can be in San Isidro of Canavas? Canonovas? I'm so sorry. I'm reading it straight. I can't say these words. Canyon Vanas, and 6 hours later in Pitalas, and then again in Las Marias. But, okay. So what are we dealing with here? With a group of what? I can't explain it to you, man. Tell me they're aliens. Are they humans? Monkeys? What? There were no answers, only a be careful. At the neighbor's chicken's den, I saw something move suddenly, and all the chickens fell silent. It was similar to the kind of silence you hear at cocktail parties when one of the guests falls to the floor by a sudden stroke. How often does that happen? I don't understand. What? Every cocktail party that you go to, someone falls to the floor by a sudden stroke. So you compare it to a group of chickens falling silent. Oh my God! It was there, like they had described it. Thank God I was looking from a window. It stared at me. I could not move. It was like one of those nightmares where you want to scream, and at the moment when you open your mouth, nothing comes out. And at that moment, it ran away. When the neighbor found his 4 dead hens the next day, he knew that the chupacabras had been there. Not a fox. A chupacabra. He knew it was a chupacabra, not a fox. Not a fox. I could not tell anyone that I saw the whole thing. No one would believe me. They would think I was crazy and dreamt it all. I mean, fair enough, I would not like to encounter a chupacabra. Now, this is one of my personal favorites. The Wendigo. This thing is straight out of Native American folklore, and honestly, it's pure nightmare fuel. Spirit associated with winter, starvation, and cannibalism. Said to possess humans, turning them into cannibalistic monsters. Extremely thin, gaunt, glowing eyes. Symbolizes greed and hunger. Basically, the Wendigo is what happens when you skip lunch and your humanity. I heard it whisper my name in the forest. And it stole my last sandwich. You know what? Fair, I'd haunt someone for a sandwich as well, especially if I was as skinny and gaunt as the Wendigo. According to lore, the Wendigo is created whenever a human resorts to cannibalism to survive. In years past, such a practice was possible, although still rare, as many of the tribes and settlers in the region were cut off by the bitter snow and ice of the North Woods. Unfortunately, eating another person to survive was sometimes resorted to, and thus the legend of the Wendigo was created. Out from the tree line, about 15 yards away, I could hear rustling in the bushes. I watched the area where I heard the noise and focused on that spot. I felt kind of funny, dizzy, lightheaded, and I could smell this putrid stink, like old milk or rotten food. Then I saw the tree start to morph and move ever so slightly, and begin to take the shape of a head and slight facial features. My eyes began to adjust to the darkness and along the tree line. I could hear this voice coming from there. I recognized it. The voice sounded like one of my relatives who had recently passed. The face took shape of my relative. "Hello," they said. "I've missed you. Come see me." I smiled and stepped forward a bit, but stopped to analyze the situation. My relative's face stopped smiling and became emotionless. The skin began to turn pale and peel away. Chunks of flesh from their cheeks began to fall away, and I felt shock and fear overwhelm my body. I couldn't make sense of it at all. So I started to back away and make my way back to camp. Bro, just nah. Nah. That would be creepy as hell. Hearing a relative's voice saying, "Hello, I haven't seen you in a while. Come see me." No. Number 5, and we're heading to Japan. The Jorogumo. Finally, we're heading to Japan for the Jorogumo. A shape-shifting spider woman who seduces men and then eats them alive. So basically, dating. As all the women click off my video. No, I'm joking. Obviously. I love my women. I love my wife. I love my wife. It originates from the Edo period, Japanese folklore. Beautiful woman by day, giant man-eating spider by night. Is known for luring men to her lair before devouring them. Name literally means binding bride or entangling woman. Honestly, fellas, if a mysterious stranger invites you back to her place and there's way too many cobwebs, leave. No, I'm not. I am not going to do a Japanese accent. She was gorgeous until she opened her mouth and 8 more legs came out. Classic case of shoulda swiped left. The earliest known reference of the Jorogumo can be found in the ancient Japanese text known as the Kanjaku Monogatari, which was written in the late Han period, 794 to 1185. The text described a spider that transformed into a beautiful woman to seduce and kill unsuspecting men. One of the most famous tales involving Jorogumo is the story of a young samurai who falls in love with a beautiful woman he meets on the road. The woman invites him to her home, where she reveals her true form as a spider and tries to kill him. The samurai manages to escape, but the encounter leaves him traumatized and forever weary of beautiful women. Another famous story involves a group of fishermen who catch a giant spider in their nets. They take it home and keep it as a pet, unaware of its true nature. One day, the spider transforms into a beautiful woman and seduces one of the fishermen. The other fishermen eventually discover the truth and kill the spider woman. But the fisherman who was seduced is left with a broken heart. And on that note, what have we learned tonight? Don't approach skinless demon horses. Don't ignore screaming banshees. Lock up your goats. Eat your sandwiches before the Wendigo does. And maybe, just maybe, stay off Japanese Tinder. Finally, if you're here now and you've watched this entire video, you are officially a weirdo. And you deserve to be with other weirdos like me. So please like and subscribe to the channel to become an official weirdo. Comment down below what creature you'd actually like to fight. This is Mo from Aftermath, signing off. Good night, weirdos.